Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take different sources, break them down, and get you to key insights fast. Today, we're getting into something pretty universal, finding that sense of security, of purpose deep inside ourselves, especially when life shifts gears. If you've ever felt insecure or maybe like you're not quite ready for what's coming next, then yeah, this deep dive should resonate. Our source today is an excerpt from a YouTube video, Food for Thought by Sanja. It actually comes from an older podcast, Thriving in the Promised Land, from way back in 2018. And it gives this really unique take on personal transformation grounded in, well, spiritual growth and what she calls our callings and giftings.
Right. And her goal here really is to unpack Sanja's ideas, how cooperating with what she calls a transformative process can actually boost your self-esteem, your confidence, and how it helps your true identity emerge. This is super relevant when you're stepping into new phases of life, these new promised lands she talks about.
Okay, so Sanja kicks things off with a pretty powerful idea about identity.
Yeah.
She says, I'm quoting here, "The more we are able to cooperate with God's transformation process of molding us into the image of Christ, the more our true identities will begin to emerge." What's she really getting at with this transformation process, and how does identity fit in?
Well, what's fascinating is how she builds on that. For Sanja, this process isn't just, change for change's sake. It's about an awakening, as she puts it, an awakening of our callings and giftings as they begin to flow more and more out of our identities in Christ. So just to clarify for you listening, identity in Christ here means finding yourself through that spiritual connection and purpose. The takeaway really is that Sanja sees finding your true self not just as thinking about it, but actively working with a spiritual process. That process reveals both who you are and what you're here to do.
And love seems really central to this whole thing for her. She talks about becoming more rooted and established in God's love. How does she say that connection, that feeling of being loved, affects our, inner strength or self-esteem?
Yeah, she draws a very direct line. She states, "The more we know we are loved, the stronger we become, and the more our self-esteem is strengthened and built up as well." The powerful idea here is that feeling deeply loved, in her spiritual view, isn't just comforting, it's actually a source of strength, real power. So the insight is, this kind of internal feeling of being loved acts like a stabilizer, building up your resilience and confidence right from the core.
She doesn't exactly paint it as an easy path, though, does she? She mentions things like a time of testing in the wilderness or a time of transition. And let's be honest, those times can feel really, really hard, uncertain. How does she frame those challenges?
Right, but she offers a really encouraging viewpoint on them. Sanja's perspective is that these difficult times are actually meant to prepare you for a new season, a new promised land. And she even shares from her own life, saying that these times of testing can actually restore our confidence and trust in the Lord's faithfulness. So the key takeaway here is that Sanja doesn't see these tough periods as, dead ends. She sees them as vital prep work, forging resilience, deepening your conviction for whatever's next.
Okay, so if we kind of lean into that process during those hard times, Sanja says we end up having grown and matured, and we can shed many of our old mindsets of doubt, unbelief, negativity, and insecurity. That sounds like a pretty major internal cleanup. How does getting rid of that old stuff prepare us for new things?
Precisely. Yeah, she describes it as making us more able and equipped to walk in new perspectives and new endeavors. It's not just about picking up new skills. She actually calls this an exciting and rewarding time, a time of discovery. So the insight is that real forward movement isn't just about gaining things. It's also very much about letting go of what doesn't work anymore. It's like clearing out the clutter inside, which makes space to embrace new ways of seeing and doing things. It opens up possibilities you maybe couldn't see before.
And it seems this whole journey culminates in, well, a kind of flourishing. Our true identities will continue to develop and emerge, letting us begin to blossom and thrive in our giftings and callings.
Yeah.
What's the ultimate result Sanja sees coming from all this personal growth?
Well, she wisely brings it back to the bigger picture. She points out how many blessings can then be released, not just for our benefit, but for the benefit of others. That's a powerful takeaway, isn't it? That individual growth, in her framework, isn't just for you. When you uncover your unique contributions, they're meant to ripple outwards, creating positive effects for others too.
Wow, what a journey we've sort of mapped out today. From understanding how identity emerges through this deeper spiritual work, to seeing how love builds that core self-esteem, embracing the tough transitions as prep work, and finally, blossoming into purpose. Sanja's perspective really does offer a kind of roadmap for feeling more secure, both in ourselves and in what we have to offer.
It really does. And Hmm. It leaves us with a pretty interesting thought to chew on, doesn't it? How might things change if we started viewing life's challenges, those transitions, not as, say, setbacks or punishments, but actually as essential parts of our development, as preparation? Could seeing them that way help us uncover our unique gifts more easily and maybe share those benefits more widely? Something for you to reflect on, your own transformation process, whatever that looks like for you, and consider its potential not just for your own growth, but for the wider blessings it might unlock.